Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gettings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, and mentor. Today, I'm welcoming Natalie and Daniel Lara to the show. Natalie is a former U.S. Navy corpsman, and Daniel is a former U.S. Marine. They're proud veterans and entrepreneurs who know serving their country molded them into who they are today, both proud veterans and entrepreneurs. In 2021, they took a leap of faith into multifamily real estate and are now actively invested as partners in 342 units. Welcome to the show, Natalie and Daniel. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having us today, Gino.
Thank you.
It's an honor.
This is your first podcast out there. It's almost like underwriting your first deal, going back to that. Daniel, in your words, why multifamily? What led you to multifamily real estate?
Do you want the PC version or do you want the truth?
Whichever one you want to share. I can take both. Let's listen to both of them.
Honestly, I tend to be a spiritual person. I honestly just don't know why multifamily, but I figured, you know what? I've been praying to God, you know what? Help me find something of my own, something that I can help my own and I can provide for my family. So I remember just one day sitting in church and this guy comes up to me with an Intero shirt, Intero being real estate in California. And I'm like, is that my answer, God? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? So I knew that this is the route that I want to take. I've had it in my back of my mind for years. And then my wife did some of the research and found out, you know what? Multifamily real estate is the way to go. And through a lot of podcasts, a lot of
through audiobooks,
and just sitting on the through the I would say the blessing in disguise of having to commute, doing our best to live the American dream of buying our house and ending up buying it like 45 miles away from work, having to drive into 2 hours each way, and we decided, you know what, we got to do something. And she
first was our mindset, and that changed with that purple book everybody talks about, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the lessons learned on, like, the rich don't work for money, but the poor middle class do. They talk about the rat race, in which I was in a rat race. I was in commute traffic, and Wheelwell Profits was a recommended book after Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then that was the first I've ever heard of multifamily real estate investing. I always thought apartment buildings were owned by ultra wealthy families like the Rockefellers, or it was really
that there was no way you can get.
Yeah. That was like out of reach. And so that's what put multifamily in my head. And then I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and one common theme amongst real estate investors, they all said that I wish I would have started in multifamily. I would have scaled much faster. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, there's where we got to start.
But it's interesting because Daniel had the premonition from praying with God. He had to convince you, right, Natalie, number one. And number two, there's a lot of people of faith who are looking to see what God says to them through prayer. A lot of them get the answer, but don't take the action. And that's the interesting part. Everyone thinks you're going to sit back and God's going to do all the magic. Obviously, without God, we really can't do anything. But at the same time, we need to take actions to be able to achieve what he wants us to achieve. How did you two, because I know you must have gotten severe pushback from your family telling you guys are nuts. You guys are crazy. First of all, you're in California. You moved to Florida. Let's talk about, if I'm listening to this right now and I'm up against this, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a cousin, a family member, someone at church, someone who's working with you. What did you guys go through, and how did you have that conversation with family members?
I am one, I've always kind of went against the grain, right? I'm the first female in my family to join the military. I was always the one that,
Preach all that.
the one everyone likes to talk about in the family, right? I've always been that way, but I just could not take advice from people who are not where I want to be, or they didn't do what I want to do. So they don't see that vision. And, but it was very hard because also we are Catholic and we're judged maybe, but I don't want to say we were judged, but I think we were with some close friends. They think that we were chasing the dollar, and it really wasn't about that at all. It was about freedom. And also you can't help the poor when you haven't made it. Yeah. And then you could do so much more on a bigger level.
It's funny you mentioned that, Gino. I remember I asked you guys at one of the boot camps, I said, hey, did you guys get any pushback from your family members? I asked you and Jake, and now it's because we had our close friends and we still talk,
it's not the same.
No, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
This family, he's a devout Catholic. He has 10 kids.
We love them.
We love them all. But I saw that his ways of thinking were not aligned with what I was thinking, the empire that I want to build. One thing about me is I like balance. I don't know why. I always thought, why isn't there balance amongst, populations? Why is there people that are suffering more than others? So I think that led me to think, if I, like Natalie mentioned, it's funny she mentioned that. How can we help others if we can first, build something to be able to provide to them? So
it's actually interesting. It's actually interesting because I'm going to say this quote, and I want everyone to write this down because this is truly important. What people say is about them. What you hear is about you. So they're admonishing you or they're scolding you for chasing the dollar. That says something about their relationship with money. First of all, whoever said you were chasing dollars or chasing money, the way I would take it is I'm not chasing dollars or chasing money. I'm trying to create a future. I'm trying to create a legacy. I'm sorry if this offends people, but poor people never built hospitals. They never built universities. Wealthy people did. So if you have an unhealthy relationship with money, you're going to take that kind of view and you're going to put your views on the person. Now, how we take that is really dependent upon what our relationship with money is. If we have a healthy or an unhealthy relationship with money, when you really understood your mindset and you said to yourself, I want to change. I don't want to have that poor mindset. It's not about poor, rich. It's really about a poor mindset and a wealthy mindset. A wealthy mindset doesn't chase money. A wealthy mindset chases opportunity. That opportunity turns into money. Money is the result. It's profit is the fuel, as I like to say. It's not the destination. But for someone who has a poor mindset, profit is the destination. That's what they're trying to achieve. And it's the same thing with anyone who is trying to achieve wealth and trying to become an entrepreneur. We understand that we need to chase opportunities, and those opportunities lead to wealth. And that's what I'm just trying to let everyone know here, that you're going to get pushback from family members that don't have the personal development that you have, the training that you have, the mindset that you really come through. And it's important for you to understand that and not to look at them and judge them, but they're not where you are in life, and it's okay. And then all of a sudden you start growing and transforming from the person you were. You're not changing, you're just transforming your lives. And that's what the great thing about life is. It's a journey. If I look at myself from 10 years ago, I don't really recognize that person as far as being a father, as far as being an entrepreneur, as far as being a teacher, as far as being a leader. That person is completely different than I am today. And hopefully 5 years from now, I'll be completely different than I am today. So for anybody out there struggling, that's important. Natalie, I want you to share the story of a lot of listeners out here are struggling with, hey, I'm living in an area or place where I don't want to live anymore. It's not aligning with my values, as Daniel beautifully said before we started, recording. How did you make the decision to leave California, to leave your family because your family is really important to you, and then just make the leap and go 3,000 miles across country to Florida? How did that decision come about?
Well, when we were doing the commute, that was a pain. And I knew I did not want to do that commute for 25 more years. My daughter was turning an age where she was getting impressionable. So some of the stuff that was going on around, I did not want her in that environment. But actually, we about 6 months before MM4, the conference, the Jake and Gino conference, you guys had an advertisement on Facebook saying it was a vacation for smart people. And it was early bird special.
Yes.
And my husband, and he says, "Oh, well, don't buy anything yet. Just wait. And I'm thinking, like, wait for what? To be more expensive, you know? So
I tend to be a skeptic.
Yeah. So I thought that he could do it. I don't want him to say, and I'm going to buy him anyway. And then I know I didn't tell him right away, but I think in August, I said, "Hey, I bought these tickets back in April and the conference is in October. What do you want me to do with these tickets? Not use them, or do we get tickets?" And he's like, "Why did you do that?" And he goes, "Okay, then buy the cheapest airline tickets, no first class. I'm not going to stay at an expensive hotel." Okay. So we did that. We went to the MM4. We're blown away. You're in the space of people that are doing exactly what you want to do. They're where you want to be in life. But I knew going back to California with our long day, with our 2-hour commute, working, being burnt out, and only having the weekends, that we weren't going to move as fast, right? I told my husband, we were sitting outside the Gaylord Palms after the conference waiting for a rental car to come. And I said, the only way this is going to happen is if we move. We got to sell everything and move. We got to come here to the Southeast. So that's when we made the decision, was actually at the Gaylord Palms. Before the trip, we had no idea we were going to quit everything, sell everything, and move. But that's what we did. We sold our house. We sold our RV. We quit our well-paying, secure jobs, and
we had the golden handcuffs.
Yeah, we did.
We had the golden handcuffs, the well-paying jobs. We were county government employees and everything. It's like, do we really want to do this? I think a lot into things like that.
Yeah.
I
Daniel,
ponder a lot.
I need to cut you off real quick because I'm sorry, but you wanted not to buy those tickets. Those tickets, in effect, have cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. A $200 ticket costs you a lot of money. And it's important because you just never know what ends up happening. I think you have to have faith and you have to trust. And if Natalie wants to go, it's the financial vacation for smart people. I think all of these seminars, all of these conferences, they're an amazing place to network and to learn and to build relationships. And you going there, I think, probably sealed the deal. I think you were on the fence over the last year and a half of saying, I want to go. And sometimes we need that push. And I think the communication amongst you two is like, let's sever these golden handcuffs. Because I think life gets really boring and uninteresting when you have those golden handcuffs, because it's not, you're comfortable, you're bored, you're going through the routines, you're waiting for another 12 years to check out, to be retired. But meanwhile, these next 12 years, you're not living life to its fullest. To me, unfortunately, I believe that that's a sin. I don't know how other people think, but I don't think God created us to be put on this planet to be working towards retirement. I think we need to be working every day to trying to achieve our maximum. And then if and when we decide to retire, we retire. But those golden handcuffs are the death of a lot of us. And I'm glad that you realized that. And I'm glad you said, hey, I'm ready to go. So you guys moved to Florida. You set up camp in Florida. How do you start the multifamily journey? What's the first thing you do to get into multifamily?
Well, a lot of networking,
education and networking. And networking is what brought us to our how we met our first partners. It was through networking. And
to this day, we're still working with them.
So yeah, they've been awesome. And they're in Kansas City. And that was also a leap of faith. We didn't know them. We didn't know how to do our due diligence, and thank God he placed us with the right people in the right places. That was just such a blessing, and we kept networking more. And then that's where we met Nitsan, and he allowed us to be part of his team, and we're learning. It's still, we're always constantly growing, and that's really important because when I will do risk with my own money like we did in Kansas City. But when we're bringing in friends and family, we want to make sure that they are with a secure team the people who've been around through the different market cycles.
Somebody that has the experience.
Yeah.
So let me ask you for the both of you, I guess, Natalie, I want you to, in your own words, when you joined Jake and Gino, that was probably one of the most important things to get you on your journey because you said education. What are some other things that investors can do? Because they may be sitting there going, I've got single families, I'm doing 5 flips a year, I want to scale, or I'm a high paid doctor, I want to get into multifamily, how do I do that? Or I'm just a regular corporate worker and I want to get into this. What else would you recommend people do if they want to seriously get involved in multifamily?
I think a very first good step, especially if you have a career and you're consumed with it, you don't have the time, is to start by investing as a limited partner.
Yes.
Because that's how you really understand what's going on and how the GP team runs the show. And you could go with limited partners with different teams. You'll see how they're all different. But before you invest with a team, really do your due diligence on the team. How strong are they? Because anybody who's been in the business just in the last 10 years, they've only seen upside, right? They haven't been through all the ups and downs of the different market cycles. You got to do your due diligence on the team. And that's how you could secure your investment, so to speak.
I love that. And before you answer, Daniel, it's important. If you're going to be a limited partner, you need to learn how to invest. We've got a program called Passive Investor Pro that I've just come out for limited partners. It's if you want to learn the business as a passive investor, there are things you still need to do. You still need to buy right, manage right, finance right. You still need to learn how to run the business. You still need to understand how to vet sponsors, all of that. But what a great place to start if you don't have the time to do it and you dip your toe in the water. You're able to invest with different operators, different markets, different asset classes. It's a great way to get, I don't want to say indoctrinated, but a great way to start. And you're learning while you're earning. That's such a powerful, I love that. That's a powerful tip. Anything from you, Daniel?
Just like she mentioned, do your due diligence. Do as much research as you can, and also educate yourself. Don't see education as an expense. See it as an investment in your future, and an investment in your family's future, in whatever empire, whatever business you're trying to build. Yes, educate yourself. But again, there's a lot of gurus out there that are going to tell you they can get you from point A to point B. But make sure you research their background. And we found Jake and Gino. And the good thing is you guys are part of our journey. You guys are part of that journey that we started and continue to from nothing, not knowing anything. I remember we were sitting in conference, one of the MM4, and somebody asked us, "So what are you guys? Are you guys LPs or GPs?" We're like, "What's the difference?" We didn't know anything.
We didn't know that the difference was, yeah. Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah,
that is awesome. That first deal in Kansas City, what did you like about that deal, and what made you want to put your capital into that deal? Let's talk about the buy right, the manage right, and the finance right.
Yeah, what we liked about the deal is that there was a lot of upside. It was there
was a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. So what we did was the business plan was to budget a $250,000 capex and renovate the units up to 60%, and that business plan so far is in action, and it's in the NOI.
Cash flow, really well.
Yeah, we're doing well on that.
It was a smaller deal. It wasn't a humongous deal, but we were still conservative. The truth is, we were nervous. We didn't know what we know today, And if today I go back and say, you know what, continue this journey. I would tell the Daniel from the past, this journey, you're doing the right thing.
So what were you nervous about, Daniel?
Not knowing as much as you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. No.
It was putting that much money into a deal that we never invested in before, and so that was, and truthfully, we didn't know the partners.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that we had to take a leap of faith, and I thank God that everything's good. Praveen, he's a really conservative underwriter, and we know that now. So, but we didn't know that before.
Well, everybody preaches, as operators, as investors, we preach, get to know your partners. Fortunately, we had, we got the right ones without not knowing them, but yes, always get to know your partners, always get to vet the people that you're going to work with. So, I'm not preaching what I did, but now I'm changing to where I should, get to know your partners and work with them for a while before you actually get into deals.
So, but Daniel, what made you overcome that fear? Because there was fear there, and yet you still took action. There was the unknown of not knowing everything. What made you actually say, yeah, I'm going to invest in this deal?
Frankly, Gino, is just being afraid of taking the risk. But I'm like, if we don't take this risk, we're never going to get anywhere. The only way to overcome that fear is to take that action. Yes, you're going to make the mistakes, but fail forward and learn from it.
One of our insecurities, we didn't have the experience, but how are we going to get the experience without making it happen? So our experience.
Isn't that the interesting thing in life? Like, I don't have a deal yet, Mr. Broker or Mrs. Broker. Well, you have no credibility. Well, how do I get it until I do a deal? And that's the thing. Daniel, it doesn't matter about the size of your first or second deal. It matters more about taking action and learning the process. Because buying a 10 unit is probably the same thing as buying a 20 unit. And buying a 20 unit is very similar as to buying a 40 unit and as to buying a 60 unit. Now, you've got this deal. The business plan is working really well. Natalie, this next deal, it comes down to raising capital. And doing that, what were some of the challenges with doing your first raise?
Our first raise was a 506B, so it was with friends and family. So problem is my family and friends don't know me as a multifamily investor operator.
Yes.
I think it was Julia who flipped it around. She says, okay, if they were doing multifamily, would you give them your money? And I thought, no way, right? So it makes sense. So they didn't know me, so it was really tough. And moving forward, we learned that everything we do is relationship based. Even with partners, with investors, it's relationships. It's not even about the actual opportunity that's there. It's great if they like you. They trust you. You can have a conversation with them and they'll come to you.
It is the opportunity, absolutely. But you can have the best opportunity in the world. If they don't know you and they don't want to work with you, it does not matter. You need to plant the seeds, and then the harvest comes when the opportunity comes. But Natalie, why didn't you use this first deal to start shaping your identity as a multifamily investor? Because I have a very similar story. On our second deal, I was sitting at the restaurant. I'm the pizza guy, and my current partner, Mike, walks in, and he didn't know me other than the pizza guy. And I only had one deal with Jake, and I laid it out to him. I said, this is what we're doing. Do you want to invest in real estate with us? And he sat there. He still saw me as the pizza guy, but he saw the opportunity. And I think that's what I started doing with my friends and family, saying, hey, I'm still the pizza guy, but I'm also identifying, or subconsciously at the time, I'm still this multifamily guy that's got a deal and is going to buy a second deal. Then after the second deal came, I remember 3 months later, we're bidding on our third deal. That's how quickly it happened. And Mike was already convinced. So why didn't you think of doing that? Or maybe you did, and maybe it didn't just resonate with your family members.
I did. They just didn't understand it. And quite frankly, maybe it was the way I was coming across too. I was going to the jugular, just, hey, invest in this deal. Yeah, you should. It's a great opportunity. Why are you in the stock market? And so it was my approach.
Wow. And then what have you guys pivoted, Daniel? Have you pivoted to doing something different? I mean, now you're raising from are they? I see the transition. This is how it happens. The first deal, they're like wary. The second deal, I'm not sure. The third deal, they're going to be like, can I invest with you? That's what's going to end up happening. Have you guys changed your strategy at all?
The way, a lot of times when we're establishing these relationships, we don't even talk about real estate. We listen to them. We listen to them and ask questions, get to know them, let them get to know you. If it's family and friends, now they're seeing, us, like, for example, we haven't been on podcasts before, but now we're doing podcasts, gaining our credibility as multifamily investors. Something that your family didn't know your friends and family didn't know you before. So now they're seeing, now her mom is asking her questions about this. Now she's saying, you know what, I think I should be getting into multifamily and investing in it instead of leaving it in my okay. So
yeah. And then I think a lot of it's personal growth. Before, when we went to conferences, meetups, or actually even when we hosted our first meetup, I don't think I came out home with any business card, right? And we used to go to meetups, and I used to let him do all the talking. And then to grow, I had to go without him, and I had to go out there and meet people. And it's really tough because I'm an introvert, right? That's part of the constant growing.
We were being each other's crutches.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? We have to grow in our own entity, in our own person, in our own personal views, and do this thing, that networking thing separately.
I love that. Last question before we wrap everything up. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? What do you guys want to accomplish in multifamily in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, in the next 3 to 5 years, I want to have about $75 million assets under management. Mm-hmm. I also want to get into some more commercial and different types of commercial real estate, such as the triple net leases, and more of
that, basically diversify our portfolio
in commercial real estate. Mm-hmm.
We are also looking to build this business to where we are spearheading our own deals and inviting other investors to come in. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's been great learning through everything, investor relations, and we've been learning a lot. So so 5 years from now, we hope to help others learn with us.
That's awesome. Where can the listeners get a hold of you guys? Email, phone number, if you want to give it out.
I actually have a Facebook page, The Passive Shift, and so the Facebook page, The Passive Shift. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. I post a lot of reels, but we can also get a hold of me. My phone number is 650-435-3993. I'm an early bird. I'm a night owl. I mean, I don't know when I sleep, so.
Or you can reach us at our email at Natalie@lunata-properties.com. Or Daniel at lunata-properties.com.
Lunara, Lunata?
Lunada.
Yeah.
It's basically Lulu, our daughter, Natalie, and Daniel.
I love that. All right. That's awesome. To recap the story, I mean, you're both veterans living in California, faced with a horrendous commute, and family members that were very skeptical of you chasing the dollar and you chasing the money. And sometimes when you listen to that and you hear that day in and day out, it can really drag you down. And ending up buying a couple early bird tickets, coming out to Multifamily Mastery 4 in Orlando, the financial vacation for smart people, being surrounded by people doing the business, being surrounded by other entrepreneurs, and the education, the energy, and being in the right room, and then sitting out in that parking lot, and then all of a sudden saying, yeah, guess what? We are going to move to Florida. We're going to make this business a reality. Taking that step from all the skeptics and then really immersing yourself into something that you'd never done before, having the fear, and then all of a sudden saying to yourself, okay, what's the next step? I'm going to invest my own money. And then what's the next step? I'm going to learn how to raise capital for other people's deals. And the next step is I'm going to be a lead sponsor. So it's really a beautiful journey of not knowing to making the decisions and then to growing into your own path. I love the story, guys. I want to thank you both for being on the show. And once again, everybody, if you want to reach out to Natalie and Daniel, information's in the show notes. And listen, thanks for being the best part of Jake and Gino. And we will all see you guys in a couple of weeks. Take care, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.